Hey everybody, I'm super excited to visit with you today about the new Barbie movie. I saw it earlier this week and I knew that it would be a trope fest, but oh man, is it a trope fest. So, of course, spoilers alert. If you haven't seen the movie and you desperately want to see it, you might want to hold off and watch this after. But if you are curious about tropes and want to learn how the whole thing kind of works or get some better ideas, then I hope you check this out. It was a lot of fun and I'm looking forward to talking with you about this. So my title for this is Never Put Barbie in a Box. And what we're going to do, obviously, is talk about tropes and the Barbie movie. I love the tagline for this movie. Greta Gerwig, I'm sure you know by now, is the writer-director. She wrote it with her partner. And this movie is the great thing about this movie that I think makes it so popular now is that it's just so tight. And what I mean by tight is like it has a very specific tone and focus, and it doesn't waver from that. And the way, even this, I think it's encapsulated in the tagline, which is just awesome, as you know. She's everything and he's just Ken. And that's really the plot of the movie, but they encapsulated it in the story, in this tagline that catches your attention. And one of the reasons I think it's so great of catching your attention is, yes, it is a movie about Barbie, obviously, but I think one of the things that I was intrigued about that plays on this is just the idea that Barbie is the center of it, and for us to have a movie that's centered about a woman and not a romantic relationship is pretty unusual. So the idea that this movie is about Barbie, her identity, and her journey, and it isn't about her relationship with Ken in a romantic sense was like very exciting and interesting, and I think it's one of the things that's, you know, making this movie have the buzz that it does. But anyway, I just obviously I could fangirl about Greta Gerwig all day, but let's talk about tropes. So the first thing you know with me when I talk about tropes, I like to think about how they work with goal, motivation, and conflict. And it just helps with like narrowing the story focus and figuring out who the characters are. So Barbie in the beginning of this movie has a very singular focus. Her world is out of balance, as we find out, and what she needs to do is go find her human that she's connected with that's causing this kind of imbalance for Barbie. And so she needs to travel to the real world and leave Barbie Land. And that's the whole point. That's the whole goal, motivation, and conflict for the story. That's the whole plot. And we know that really very soon in the movie, and it makes it super easy for us to go on this journey with her because we know what her goal is. And then we will obviously go through all these complications and all these other things are going to happen to her along the way as she has this journey, and things aren't going to go as planned. But it's really nice because we are never wondering what her goal is. We're never confused as to what's going on in the movie. And you'd think it would oversimplify, but it doesn't. It actually just makes it really easy when you have a good goal, motivation, and conflict then to develop character. Ken. Oh, Ken. He is just so awesome in the plot of this movie. And the idea that, well, first of all, we're going to talk about Ken's goal is he wants to be her boyfriend. Like, that is his goal. And the reason why is that he basically feels like without being in Barbie's gaze, without her looking at him, nobody cares about him. The only time he kind of comes to life, so to speak, is when Barbie is when he's like in Barbie's circle. And the great conflict in this is Barbie is completely uninterested in being his girlfriend. It's very much Ken is in the friend zone. Character tropes. For a movie that's ostensibly about a doll, there's some really great character tropes. And we see Ken as an ALPHAHOLE. We see the boss that Will Ferrell plays. We see best friends in terms of the Barbies. And Barbie and her human counterpart, the professions of all the various Barbies, the professions of the people in the real world. I love the idea of twins in terms of all the Barbies as twins and the Kens. They did a really great job about that. And so it's just a whole lot of layering where they take these elements that are introduced early on, and really Barbie's journey is to take her, as she's stereotypical Barbie, that's her profession, to take that, and she becomes, in the end, human. So that's her journey. So her Barbie's core trope, I would say, is she's the ugly duckling. You want to think, which is awesomely ironic, because of course she's Barbie. And she even says in one point about that she doesn't feel beautiful or something like that. And the Helen Mirren character overlays that by saying, note to the director, you wouldn't want to Margot Robbie as excessively attractive or something like that. So it's just great with all these ways that they're playing with this idea of the ugly duckling and the transformation trope. And I just think, and along with that, I was thinking as I watched this, the Barbie story is really a version of Pinocchio, right? She's a toy, a doll, and she wants to become a real girl. So let's talk about some other tropes. Obviously, forced proximity is super important in all our stories. Great example of how we have Barbie Land and then the real world. And then how those things are going to interact. But yes, definitely forced proximity, and works every time. Mistaken identity and hidden identity, I thought, were really well used as she interacts with the America Ferrera character, whose name I'm forgetting at the time, but her human in the real world, where Barbie is thinking it's her daughter who her connection is with, and it's actually with the girl's mother from all those years ago. And then hidden identity, again, with finding the correct person, and with the whole finding Barbie, and how they're trying to capture her when she and can actually make it to the real world. There's really great other tropes in this that reflect relationships, and I would say the Ken-Barbie relationship kind of goes through this transition of they're supposedly best friends. Ken has unrequited love for Barbie for his own reasons, and in the end they come to like a reunion in terms of the relationship of kind of trying to reach a place that's more of a plateau instead of just the unrequited love. Not surprisingly, this movie is all about relationships. If you wondered how do tropes work in relationships, I would, if I was going to do a dictionary about that, I would see the Barbie movie. Family and politics are basically the huge core of this movie, along with that ugly duckling identity trope. And it's just great because we see they do such a good job with relationships, even in the microcosm of the Will Ferrell boardroom. I thought was a wonderful example of kind of the relationships of, power dynamics with the boss and all the kind of things going along there, in addition to all the relationships between the Barbies, and then the whole, when Ken goes back and turns Barbie Land into his Ken Kingdom there. Road trip and journey. Now, this movie was fantastic in how they do a road trip, which then becomes a journey, by physically showing us how the characters transfer from Barbie Land to the real world and back again. And I just love the filmmaking on this, with showing the characters with their sets and going through the different terrains and the characters' reactions to those terrains. It was just a really fun, creative way to do the road trip, which is also signifying kind of the journey. Ticking time bomb. Oh my gosh, so great. So when we a great example of a ticking time bomb is when Barbie goes to see the weird Barbie, and they have this great, and she tells her all of the kind of like going to visit the Oracle, and she's telling her all these things about what happens if you don't visit the real world, and there's the consequences of cellulite. Oh my God. But Barbie's in a ticking time bomb situation in terms of she wants to get her life back to normal. The only way she's going to do this is to go find her person. And so that's the ticking time bomb for this story, is to try to get back to an equilibrium and having her take this journey. If Barbie had all the time in the world to do that, this story would lose all the steam, right? We need to have the pressure of her working against the time to find her and get back to what she hopes is going to be her normal life. Of course, all these complications ensue, and the ticking time bomb is like kind of altered as the movie goes on, but still that sense of pressure and trying to beat the clock is present, and Greta Gerwig just does a great example of that. MacGuffin, I would say the MacGuffin, the lost object, is Barbie trying to find her human, which is really awesome and ironic and a great twist of the doll, an object, trying to find her human. Just kind of how that goes, and then of course all the corporate people in the real world trying to find Barbie and Ken when they're on the loose. So really great job of using MacGuffin in various ways and kind of changing who the MacGuffin is depending on the point of view, but great for generating conflict and showing relationships and plot. Secrets. Oh, so many good secrets in this. Really the main secret that works in this movie is the human woman kind of dealing with her angst and her changing and growing, and how that's reflected in Barbie, and then Barbie's kind of wanting to become a human to deal with all these secrets and complications. It's not a huge there's not a lot of characters with secrets in this movie, but it's an important one and really connects the two kind of main characters, Barbie and her human, on their journey. And it really provides the heart of the movie in the America Ferrera's monologue, which talks about the difficulties that a lot of women face in life, and reflecting all the contradictions and things that we try to live with on a daily basis that are kept hidden inside. I want to know what other tropes you guys have found in the movie, and how you think they work. What do you, were there things that you wanted to see more of or less of? And I just thought they just did an awesome job with it. I super enjoyed it. It was wonderful to see something original, creative, and not on a book that we've all read or heard about. And also about a doll. I mean, like I said, I just love that she basically took the Pinocchio trope and twisted it on something with Barbie. I should, maybe I'll do a whole other one. You know, I want to talk a lot about Ken, because as we know in the end, he's Ken enough. But really, I feel like Ken provided such important conflict for this movie. So I just touched on him a little bit, but it's so much fun to do these and talk to you guys. So I think what I'm going to actually do is do another one just about Ken. But in the meantime, that's just, I hope that this is helpful to you. Let me know, leave some comments below. And if you want to find me, you can always track me down through my website. And my Trope Thesaurus romance is now available wide. So reach out to me through the website or down below in the comments. And I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.